Hello and welcome back to the Peer-to-Peer podcast. So we're asking a question today, why big isn't always better in a estate agency. So Celeste, if I come to you first of all, what initially attracted you to a large-scale brokerage model and what did you hope to initially gain from it?
So as everybody probably knows, I'm a massive advocate for self-employed models. And I was running basically my business, high street sort of business, if you like, traditional estate agency. And I was starting to sort of watch the various different self-employed models and watching all the YouTube videos and how they all worked, etc. And long and short of it was really, I picked up the phone one day and phoned one of the people that was doing some advertising on LinkedIn, etc., and said, what's this all about? Can you tell me a little bit more? Went into the conversations with them, and I was very, very sat on the fence to start with, because I think that for me, letting go of having my own business since 2010 to suddenly pulling that business into a brokerage style model was a big scary step for me, because you don't want to sort of lose anything that you've grown, if you like. So one of the attractions was, to me, I had a telephone call or Teams call with the person at the time, and I said, look, I love the self-employed models, etc., but really at this time, I'm at a very different place now, but at that time I was like, I really don't want to lose my branding. I've worked hard to get my business to where it is, and I'm really nervous about bringing my business into this model. And it was sold to me at the time, well, you don't actually lose anything because you just keep everything exactly the same as it is, but you come into us, etc., and you can bring your business in. So that was obviously quite attractive at that time. And I suppose one of the things for me as well was it was cutting back my overheads. When sometimes you have some, when you're on a high street office, for example, your overheads are massive in comparison to what they're like when you're part of a brokerage. So I just decided, okay, let's just take the leap and do it. And obviously went into the agency that I did at the time, which was great, but nothing did really change. And what I would say is that I suddenly became part of something, but I was sort of part of something carrying carrying this name alongside my name, but nothing really changed in the fact of what was being provided to me from that, if that makes sense.
Yep. And Adam, what was your experience from being sort of in such a large model?
Mm-hmm.
Good, bad? What was your experience being there?
I think there's pros and cons. I'd say from a sort of processes point of view, it was very regimented, well structured. But I'd say from a cons, the brokerage I was part of had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other self-employed agents, and you just become a number, literally. And it does, it is quite diluted, where now I can just pick up the phone to Steph, the founder of TA UK. There's quite a big hierarchy in the previous brokerage I was with.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there as well. You do become very diluted. I went into this agency and I was very much sort of like, well, what am I really getting from this? One of the key reasons why I went into it was because I wanted to have other people around me going into, obviously, the brokerage, having the support mechanisms. I'd been doing it for a very long time on my own, and it does, as we spoke about this earlier, it does become quite lonely, and suddenly to have other people around me, etc., they're all in the same boat and what have you. But I found that, quite rightly, what you just said, that was quite diluted. And I think it was very much about a numbers game, getting as many people in as they could. Of course, business is about numbers, but it just really felt like there wasn't really much coming back from it, if that makes sense.
Do you feel it's a little bit a case of sort of expectations versus realities? Now, we all know the way it is in social media, especially in the estate agency world. You go on LinkedIn or Instagram, whatever it may be, every estate agent's got a Range Rovers over in Dubai, etc. Do you think that kind of that dream is being sold, but then sort of maybe the deliverables after that are somewhat diluted, as you guys said?
I'd agree with that in one respect. Similar to Celeste, I had a bad day at work one day, and that's when I picked up the phone from a contact on LinkedIn, and they were pretty straight and almost trying to put me off, saying, do you need to have a bit of money behind you, all the rest of it. But yeah, when you do see a lot of these self-employed agents with flash cars, seem to have all the time in the world, it seems a bit crazy because it's not really like that.
I think also just touching on that, a lot of these people out there on LinkedIn, etc., showing, oh, I've earned this amount of money. I'm, look at where I am. Sometimes when you're going in as an agent and you're going in as a self-employed agent, that can become a little bit demoralising for you if you're not quite reaching those levels, etc. And quite often I have seen that on LinkedIn and comments and things from other agents that are being made to feel that they're not worthy enough because they're not reaching those goals. So I think they've got to be quite careful with obviously how they're portraying and putting it out there, because yes, you can earn as much money as you like as being a self-employed agent and putting hard work in, etc. The world's your oyster. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of that as well. And also with some of these companies, it's all about what's called rev share. So, let's get as many agents in because I'm going to earn off them. And then yes, they do take a little bit of a step back because they're earning off all the other agents and what have you. But they're very much more focused on rev share rather than focusing on actually being the business.
You're absolutely right, and that's the avenue you're sort of pushed down, attracting agents and having that as a revenue stream, and it does become a pyramid scheme. They just say it isn't, but certainly feels like it, and you can actually track where your commission goes up a chain, and eventually, in the US in my case.
I think it's also getting value for your money. So it's all about obviously your commission splits and how much you pay on your monthly amount and things, but it's all very well taking money from the agents obviously that are producing it, but what value are you getting for that money that you're actually paying to that company?
So you've both now transported your business across to TA UK. How have they changed since you made the move?
I'd say from my point of view, again with the previous model I was part of, it was up to me to come up with a brand, and I'm not a brand person. I'm not even particularly good at marketing. So what was really nice with the Agency UK, it's almost, a ready-made package there. And I love the brand itself. I think it looks really premium. I get lots of comments on it. So I'd say my pipeline's pretty much doubled in terms of value, but also my perception. People are coming up to me saying, oh, we've got a property, but I don't think it's quite your cup of tea because it's, an apartment above a shop or something. So I'm attracting nicer properties, getting better fees, and there's less for me to worry about.
Celeste?
So, look, every brokerage offers different things at the end of the day. And, one brokerage might be right for you, one brokerage might be right for me. At the time when I decided to join over to TA UK, I started to look at what was important to me. And the things that I liked about TA UK was the branding. It was a quality branding. I always say it, quality over quantity. So I wanted to be part of a quality brand. Now, if you'd asked me a year ago when I joined the previous brokerage, it was very much for me then about I didn't want to lose my logo, above my name, if you like. But then when I actually stripped it back and thought about it, I thought, one of the frustrating things sometimes that I've often had, even having sort of my own logo above the door, above my name, if you like, is going out to valuation and go, I've never heard of you. Being part of TA UK is that you're being part of a brand, a national brand that is getting recognised for quality that you're then a part of. So, you go out on a valuation now, people go, oh yeah, I've heard of TA UK. Obviously, you're the brand as well. They're buying into you, but you're part of a company that's got a recognised quality brand.
I mean, there's obviously a lot that goes in behind the scenes of TA UK, things like the customer care centre, etc. Now, does that free up more to focus on actually your client experience and actually clients you deal with day in, day out?
For me, it's taken. One of the reasons why I went, as I said a moment ago, you have to look at also what you're getting back in return for what you're paying for. So when I was part of the previous company, I was paying out a lot more money, but I wasn't getting anything back in return. I was just literally pulling my business in and saving a bit on my overheads. That's how I felt it to be. Whereas now, and one of the other reasons why I wanted to join into a brokerage is, as I said to you earlier, as a business owner, when you're running a business, you're wearing all these different hats. You're suddenly accountant, valuation manager, broker, you're wearing all these different hats. So one of the really, really big things that I noticed with coming into TA UK was the support, not just with your peers and, the founders, etc., but it's also the sort of lying down support that you get from your calls being answered, for example. So when I was in the previous brokerage, I had a PA that used to work alongside me, that I used to pay a salary every month to answer my calls, to respond to my emails, etc. Whereas now those calls are getting answered for me. That's a massive thing to have. Clients actually being out, if you're out on evaluation, getting through to somebody. So I've lost that salary and I'm gaining in other areas, as well as also the commission structures are better. So I'm actually able to earn more money.
Sounds brilliant. Guys, thank you so much for your time today. It's been absolutely brilliant.